圣德拉姆·泰戈尔是诺贝尔文学奖获得者罗宾·德拉纳特·泰戈尔的后人。他长成于贵族之家，与文学圣贤为友，眼界与品味皆为上乘。在先辈的启迪下，他直至传承家族文艺血脉，将促进东西方文化交流作为毕生事业。2000年，他于纽约成立同名画廊，并早在07年遇见香港，成为亚洲艺术焦点，并开设画廊。如今，圣德拉姆·泰戈尔的画廊版图遍布北美、欧洲和亚洲，服务于全球众多顶级藏家与艺术机构。本期视频带你私访圣德拉姆·泰戈尔纽约画廊，揭开一位东方美学大师的神秘面纱。Hello, Sundaram. So wonderful to see you again.
Thank you for coming to our gallery, Kiran. It's a great pleasure to see you here.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm privileged to be visiting your gallery's private viewing room today to experience some of the captivating works by Japanese artist Hiroshi Senju.
Yes, Hiroshi, as you know, he's an internationally renowned Japanese artist. I would say, from my perspective, there are three contemporary artists. You have Nara, you have Murakami, and Senju in the forefront of the Japanese art world. Of course, you have Kusama, keeping her as a historical figure. So he's using a very visual, minimalist language rooted in abstract expressionism. And what I mean by that is that he's pouring paints and he's not using a brush in the majority of the painting. And he knows how much content of the paint to have in his container. And when he's pouring paint, he's actually emulating the cascading waterfall. He knows when it needs to stop in order to have the blue surface, the horizontal lines. And by doing this, he's bringing a direct relationship with Jackson Pollock and graffiti. Yet, he's painting in a manner which is called Nihonga. Nihonga is a 1,000-year-old technique of painting. Uses seashells, corals, precious stones. He crushes them, pulverizes them, and then mixes it with a kind of an animal hide glue. And that painting then becomes the pour. Sometimes he's known to create these sublime works of art that are monumental in scale, 3-4-story high paintings. How do you pour that much of paint? You have to be a master at doing that.
Absolutely. What's so fascinating to me is that his waterfalls beautifully evoke the appearance, sound, and smell of rushing water, as if we are enveloped by mysterious nature or an ideal space. And by entering the paintings, we experience the feelings of beauty and the power of life, and make new discoveries for ourselves.
Absolutely. You've said it very poetically. You can feel the gushing sound of the water and feel the coolness of the mist. And that's the kind of temperature that he wants to take you to. So the idea is the sensation of waterfall. How do you create that? He's able to achieve that in these paintings. Hiroshi Senju's international exposure took place in Venice in 1995. He was invited to present his work at the Japanese Pavilion. He got the Merit Prize, the first Asian to win it. I think after that, the following year, it was Anish Kapoor. Suddenly, the whole world recognized him in the context of the art world. What happened is that when he produced this work exhibition at the Giardini, created monumental waterfall paintings. And then he poured water on the floor. And then you had a stepping stone. And then right next to it was the ocean. And the sound of the ocean with a cascading waterfall, all dark. And then you're stepping all around you water. It really caught the imagination of the officials of the Venice Biennale. He recently had a major exhibition at the Art Institute of Chicago. Many museums have acquired his works. The most recent one was the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, which is hanging there right now for a whole 2 years. Metropolitan Museum acquired a few years ago. And then he has his own museum that some collector who owns 400 works of art built a museum by Nishizawa, which is the same architect who designed the new museum in New York. At times, when you look at his paintings, it has this idea of water and fire. This duality has been a very much part of his paintings. You know, East and West, abstraction realism, tradition modernity, and water and fire. What I mean by that is that although the painting is falling, cascading down, he's taking a spray gun and pushing it up.
Yes.
And that feels like a explosion. That is the tension, because water and fire cannot exist. That's where the tension is, and that's where the power of the painting comes from. So you have sort of flat surface of Murakami, which is called super flat, and critics have called his work super deep. And super deep meaning he's bringing with the philosophical ideas, keep the tradition on the one side and modernity extending the language. Because he said without the tradition you're an orphan. Maintaining that Asian roots and is pushing it forward and extending the language.
Hiroshi Senju began exploring the waterfall image in the early 1990s. I noticed your thoughtful curation of his artworks across different time periods. How would you describe the shifts and developments in his artistic creation?
It's very interesting that you're asking that. He's known worldwide for his monochromatic paintings, which is black and white or blue and white or other coloration. During the lockdown, he was spending a lot of time in his backyard, in the garden. He would spend a lot of time looking at the leaves and the fruits and the flowers. He started enjoying the idea of colors. And now he's made a huge shift, a gear change, and he's producing colors. And this is one of the earliest colors all produced during that time. And you see the greenery and the purple. Now he's gone into much more deeper levels of colors. He says, I'm noticing a lot more idea of diversity. Nature has a lot of diversity. Like our own, the way we are, people from every corner of the universe lives. And I'm interested in that.
This artwork serves as a magnificent representation of his famous cliff paintings. When did he start this series, and what's the creative process like?
Essentially around 2007-8 he started producing cliffs, and he uses platinum paint, and platinum is very, very difficult to sort of handle, and it's extremely expensive. So you can't waste any paint. Although this looks very photographic and looks highly realistic, but it's done in a very avant-garde manner. So he takes an artisanal paper, mulberry paper, which ties into his Asian tradition. Then thick paper, then he crushes it and crimples and crinkles it. And when the marks takes place, these marks, based on that, he's painting in a very rapid manner. But the end result is very classical.
I have no doubt that those who possess his artworks consider them a source of enlightenment, a symbol of exquisite taste and cultural significance.
Yeah, absolutely, because he is truly a universal man. He's a philosopher. When you're surrounded by these paintings, you're truly inspired. It brings tranquility, peace, and nature in your surrounding.
Thank you, Sundaram. It's so wonderful to spend time with you this morning, learning about this wonderful artist. And thank you so much for sharing your insight.
Thank you so much, and you're welcome. You can come back anytime you like.
Will do.
Thank you.
那我们今天的画廊私访就先到这里。如果你想要收藏视频中介绍的作品，可以在视频下方找到我们的联系方式。如果你喜欢本期的视频，别忘了点赞、评论、收藏、转发。我们下期见啦！